I hope that all of you really think about what it is that you want to leave. What you leave should be bigger than you. And I really believe that. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm Cameron, and I play Luke.
Some people leave behind memories. Others leave behind an impact that continues to be felt long after they're gone. Cameron Boyce was one of those people. Through his work, his philanthropy,
we need to use what we have and make the world a better place for other people who need us.
and the way he treated others, Cameron touched the lives of millions around the world. But nobody knew him better than his father, Victor Boyce.
We have to keep his legacy alive. We have to. When Cameron was born, that was obviously a huge life changer for me. I kept getting unsolicited praise for him. And then I realized, wow, he really does affect people in a special way. And that's the kind of guy he was. He would literally give you the shirt off of his back.
In this conversation, Victor reflects on Cameron's life, the values that guided him, and the impact he had on everyone fortunate enough to know him. Together, we explore the kindness that defined Cameron's character, the generosity that shaped the way he moved through the world, and the example he left behind. Victor opens up about the mission that emerged from tragedy, raising awareness, supporting families, and continuing the work Cameron cared so deeply about.
Epilepsy is swept under the rug. It's hidden in the shadows. People don't want to talk about it. Cameron had 5 seizures in his whole life. And then the last one took his life.
Years later, Cameron's influence can still be seen in the people he inspired, the causes he championed, and the lives that continue to be changed because of him.
This is Andro Mammo, and today I am so honored to be joined by Victor Boyce. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for having me, Andro.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yes.
This has been a conversation I've really been looking forward to, and I think it's a conversation that truly is needed at this time.
Yes, sir.
And I'm very grateful to have you in studio. And before we get into it, I want to get to know you first.
Okay.
And I want to know, obviously the world knows who you are. And I want to know, before all of that though, who is Victor Boyce?
I don't know if the world knows me, but the world knows my son, certainly. Victor Boyce is a kid from Crenshaw area. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a dental technician.
Wow.
Which was different from where we lived because we kind of grew up blue collar. Mm-hmm. So it seemed like my parents were more professional, but we were still in the same place as everybody else. And then we moved from Crenshaw to Pico, Fairfax. That's where my life kind of changed, because then I went from an all segregated black school to an integrated school in Westwood called Emerson. It was junior high back then. Now they call it middle school. But it was junior high back then. And that was my first interaction with people that weren't just either black, or we had a few Japanese kids in my elementary school. Now I have Jewish kids, I have Persian kids, I have white kids. And I had never interacted with anybody like that except for like watching them on TV. So that kind of opened my eyes up to there was a much bigger world than my little insular neighborhood. So fast forward a few more years, I went to Beverly Hills High School, which was even more crazy because I didn't live in Beverly Hills. And I got to meet some very interesting people. Like I went to school with Lenny Kravitz. I went to school with Harold McCoo's son. So I'm not bragging, but that's just who were there, the people that were there. And so that was even more expansion of my horizon, so to speak. And then I kind of bounced around. I didn't go to college. My grades were good enough to get into college. So I went to junior college, and I kind of bounced around. And then I ended up becoming, I loved motorcycles growing up as a kid. I started selling motorcycles. And I did that for, I think from 94 to like 2017.
Wow.
I was in the motorcycle business. So I rode motorcycles, I raced motorcycles, everything. My whole life was motorcycles.
No kidding.
Yeah. And then I finally met Libby, my wife. And when I met Libby, I kind of let the motorcycles go and went back to bicycles, which were always in my life. And we started dating, and then we got married, and then we had Cameron. And so that's how we got to the Cameron thing. It was great because I needed a change in my life. I had been married once before. It didn't last, so I had a 10-year hiatus between the first wife and Libby, where I went through all kinds of debauchery and craziness and got that all out of my system. Then it just finally settled down. And so when Cameron was born, that was obviously a huge life changer for me. I didn't have any kids. We were late as parents. I was 35, I think, when Cameron was born. Wow. You know, I have friends that had kids at 20, and, you know, their kids are like already teenagers and young adults by the time I had my first one. So, which was good for me because I was much more ready at the time. I think if I had a kid at 20, it wouldn't have been a good thing for me or the kid. So I was thankful that I waited. Then 2.5 years later, Maya was born, and then we were just locked in.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, realistically, like following you, I know the roles that you carry very close to your heart are husband and father.
Yes.
And I want to know from your perspective, you know, obviously being a late father.
Yes.
How did fatherhood change your approach to life?
Well, first and foremost, kids don't come with instructions. So you have to figure it out on the fly. I mean, you go back to how your parents did it, but some things your parents did you don't want to repeat. Like,
right.
You know, like I used to get spanked, and I never spanked my kids because of that. And, you know, you try and you cherry pick the good, and you try and not do the things you don't want to do. So that was a big life lesson for me. And plus, you know, my wife is Jewish, so we had two different cultural things happen.
Wow.
That was interesting because they have different thoughts about certain things than I did. And so we had to navigate those cultural differences as well. Mm-hmm. But it all worked out because, you know, her family was grounded and very down to earth as well as mine. And I think our political and spiritual things kind of all aligned, even though they were coming from different places.
Mm-hmm. That in itself is beautiful. I mean, my family, they're mixed. So
yes.
My dad is Arab and my mom's from Chile.
Yes.
So speaking to my dad about certain things, it's kind of like he also had to kind of like shift his perspective also, and then kind of like learn as he was going. And I think hearing you speak about that, it's one of those things that's very endearing. And
that's
a
beautiful mix that you are.
Thank you.
That's interesting because, you know, I think, you know, there's so much tribalism going on, but really and truly, everybody's mixed, and they might not even know it.
That's right.
Everybody is mixed to some degree. There's nobody pure unless you're like on some island that's way out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. You're mixed with something. So I think the tribalism is the thing that's really hurting us now. And I really appreciate learning about and experiencing other cultures. Like the beautiful thing with my son when he was here and he was still working is I got to travel a lot with him. Mm-hmm. So I've been to Peru with him. I've been to Germany with him. I've been to Spain with him. You know, we got to travel and see lots of different things and experience different cultures, which was so amazing because it just makes you realize that people are the same. Even though they're doing slightly different things, their hearts and minds are the same.
Exactly. I think that, especially in the time that we're in, it's so important that you say that. I'm so glad that you do.
Yeah, I really
think
feel
about
that
a lot.
Strongly because, like I said, people just, they dig in, they entrench themselves and they stay in their little bubbles and they're scared of others.
Yeah.
They're scared of the unknown, which is, it's ridiculous. There's nothing to be scared of.
That's right.
You know, you need to step out of your comfort zone. I try and do that constantly.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're insular, you're going to be ignorant and you might be hateful. And you're only hateful because you don't know what's out there. You're scared.
Exactly. Yeah. I think for me, like growing up, it was one of those things where I kept it very hidden that I was half Middle Eastern. And it was because I was bullied in the 5th grade about that. Yep. So it was one of those things, I think, obviously with maturity, you grow up and you start to see through a lot of those things that you're kind of like taught growing up. And then I actually just started to embrace that side. And then I just became interested and I immersed myself in the culture and I started telling people about the culture.
Yes.
And it's things like that where, you know, things are so divisive, but at the end of the day, I think curiosity is so important.
Curiosity is key and art is key. I noticed your studio has art everywhere and that is key because art knows no boundaries.
Exactly.
Art, music, painting, singing, dancing, all those things are global, international. Every culture does it.
Yeah.
And when people trying to suppress the arts, you know they're evil.
Exactly.
That's evil because they're trying to control you. They're trying to control your mind. They're trying to take away your creativity. They're trying to take away your freedom and your rights. And that's just, I can't stand
horrible.
It's horrible. And I see that's where we're trying to go, but I see the pushback is even stronger. So even though, what's happening right now is really, really not cool, I see that the people are realizing that it's not cool. And, even if you're like insular, you still like music.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yep.
You don't want people to censor your music or censor your books. So I'm hopeful for the future, especially when, people like you, my daughter, who are young and still like driving the message.
Thank you. I mean, truly, that means a lot coming from you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we need you guys. Otherwise, we're screwed.
Yeah. I mean, speaking about your daughter, Maya, obviously your son, Cameron.
Yes.
I think every child brings out something different in a parent. And I want to know from your perspective, like, what were some of the things that your children taught you about yourself that maybe you wouldn't have realized if you didn't have children?
Wow, that's a great question. So, first of all, my children, even though, one boy, one girl, same house, same food, same everything, they are completely different. They're different as individuals, they're different in gender, they're different in ages. So Cameron was like, for me, he was the test to see if I could even handle parenthood. But he was so beautiful and so easy to because he was a quick learner. He would show me things like, I'll never forget. Okay, you see that tripod there? It looks like an A on the bottom. Yeah. When he was about 3, we went to the little kid's birthday party, and he was saying, "Daddy, look, an A," and he's pointing out in the yard. And I'm looking, I don't see an A. He goes, "Daddy, look, an A." And I'm like, what is he looking at? He was looking at the swing set that was shaped like an A. And I was like, oh my God. So just his little perception of everything was so different than mine. Like I wasn't looking at it as an A, but it definitely was an A. It was like this and it had a crossbar like an A.
That's awesome.
So we would listen to this, like I would always share my music with Cameron. But I noticed that the parts that I was listening to, like I always sing loud on bass. I love bass. I love vocals. But he would be picking up on like the background stuff, like the little grunts and groans and filler things that I wasn't even listening to. So I learned like, wow, I mean, I know it's in there, but I'm not keyed in on it. So I noticed that he would key in on different things that I didn't. And so we would combine and talk about these things. I would learn so much about the same music I was listening to since long before he was born. He's teaching me about songs I've been listening to for 40 years.
That's beautiful. Like me chills.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Dude, it was crazy. Maya, on the other hand, completely different. She was very, like Cameron was very... Well, when he was little, he was kind of insular. But once he came out of his shell, he was all the way out, like doing backflips off the bed and craziness. Maya was always kind of pensive, kind of quiet, but she started reading super early. Maya was reading, I think at 4 or 3, like reading for real to the class. So in her kindergarten class, I guess that'll be a little older, she would read to the class and they were all just learning the sounds.
Wow.
So she was super smart, but in a different way than Cameron.
Yeah.
So what you learn is that everybody's not the same. Oh, here's a very, to your point of what I learned. So as a kid, for me, I used to love Hot Wheels. I was like a car nut, Hot Wheels and toys and stuff. So naturally, when I had my son, I bought him Hot Wheels and stuff. But I noticed he wasn't really into them. Like I'm like, come on, they're Hot Wheels. Yeah. He would like take them and line them up in color order. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like, driving them play, but. So it took me a long time to realize that he is not mini me. He is his own person. He's just because I liked Hot Wheels doesn't mean he likes Hot Wheels. Yeah. Cameron was into dance. I can't dance my way out of a paper bag. No way. Cameron was an amazing dancer. We had sports in common. We both loved the Lakers. I kind of indoctrinated him into the Lakers. So we loved that together, but he could dance and sing. I can do neither.
Yeah.
So the biggest takeaway was, even though your kids come from you, obviously we share DNA, food, culture, and all that, they are not exactly you. They are variants of you that you need to appreciate them on their own terms.
Yeah. No, and I think that's another thing that's really awesome is that you didn't feel the need to kind of like, no, you need to be this way.
No.
You let them be their individual selves.
Well, I tried that and I realized that's not working. Like, you play with Hot Wheels, be a car guy. Nope.
Yeah.
So luckily I learned that early, but I did do that. So that's a mistake that I made, but I caught myself and I realized, hey, he's not you. I just love that I figured that out early because I've seen, being in the business, I've seen people really force their stuff onto their kids.
It's clashing all the
Well,
time.
it was like a mandate.
Yeah.
And like, it's not good. It's not good. I won't mention any names, but I've seen it many, many times over. And it's like, wow, I'm glad I didn't do that. Like, people always ask, well, how did you get Cameron into the business? I didn't really. It kind of happened organically because where he was dancing, there were kids doing commercial stuff. And he just wanted to try it. I never wanted him to be in the business because I knew some kids that were in the business that were off the rails.
It's a hard life.
Off the rails.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want this for him. But okay, we'll go.
Yeah.
And so we went on auditions, and it took like 6 or 8 months for him to book anything.
Crazy.
I was like getting parking tickets and needing work and getting in trouble at work. And he finally booked the job. But the first job he booked was a catalog for Disney, like a Halloween catalog. And he had so much fun and he loved it. And they gave him, he was jumping on a trampoline. They gave him the trampoline and he made like $1,500 for one. And I was like, wow. But I thought it was just going to be that was it.
Yeah.
Dude, he just kept booking and booking and booking till he left this earth.
That's amazing.
So again, I was never chasing that. But being in the business for as long as we were, I would see people that were chasing that would leave their place way out of state. I live in Hollywood, so it wasn't a big struggle for me to go to the studios, but people were leaving their homes, leaving half their family, really, really sacrificing, more power to them. But sometimes I could tell the kid that wasn't really what they were doing.
Yeah.
So what I would do to make sure, because I wasn't sure, am I pushing him? Like, no, I'm not pushing him, but I would ask him, do you still want to do this? After every job he would book, I said, are you sure you still want to do this? And he would always say, yes.
I think it's important that, hearing you speak about that, it just reminds me of my parents, because my parents own restaurants. They're not in this industry at all.
Right.
So it was like when I first got the feeling within that I wanted to do something like this of asking questions, I literally called KTLA every day until they brought me in for an interview.
Oh, nice.
And they called my mom and they're like, hey, we're going to bring him in for this interview, but the condition is he has to stop calling. But to me, it was like, at least I'm in.
Yes.
And then that first interview led to a lot more, but my parents never sat there and said, hey, this is not for you. Do you want to do this? And I would say yes. And they would take me to the red carpets.
Yes.
We'd be there early. We'd be there late. And it was one of those things, hearing you speak about that, I think it's so beautiful. And I think it's also a thing where I hope more parents hear you speaking about this, just because, I think it's important to really allow your children to be passionate about things and to find their own
and
path.
let them make the choices. Now you still have to guide.
Of course.
You still have to guide, but you let them make the choices and you check with them, because sometimes they'll do things because their friends are doing it, even though they're not really into it. So you have to make sure they're not being like peer pressured into things or bullied into things. So, but Cameron was very adamant about it, and it aligned with his dance. Because like I said, some of the kids that he danced with were also in the business. So it was two separate worlds. But yeah, he was passionate about both. And I just really enjoyed it. And I never thought I would be involved because, like I said, I can't dance. I'm not an actor. I never pushed it.
Yeah.
I never thought about being in the business, and it just kind of happened organically for me.
That's awesome. You must have been like, where did this come from?
Oh, yeah, for years. For years, yeah. Like, how did I, like I said, I'm in Spain with my son. Like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
How did this happen?
Wild.
It's wild, yeah.
There you go. I think, obviously Cameron made such a mark in the world. And I think everything that he was part of, you could really tell, one, he was extremely passionate about the things that he did, but also he carried himself in a different way. Like, I think being in this industry, I've seen a lot of different types of people.
Yes.
And I met Cameron once, and it was exactly the way that I thought he would be. He was nice, he was endearing, he was cool. And every time after that, I was just kind of like, wow, like, what a light. and I strive to be like him, like welcoming, because at that time, you know, it was at an event that I had met him at, and I was just kind of like off to the side alone. And I don't know what made
What
him.
event was it?
I think they called it like the Mattel party on the pier.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I was there.
That, yes.
I was there alone. And
wow.
he came up to me and just like asked me how I was doing and if I wanted to like hang out with them. And I was just kind of like, wow, like that was cool. It was something I took back, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. So every time I'd see him on TV, I was always kind of like, that's someone who I strive to be like.
You know what? When we first started on Jesse, because that was the biggest thing he had done to that. Well, he had done a couple movies, but Jesse was a ongoing job. And, you know, there's a lot of people that work behind the scenes, cameramen, grips, wardrobe, makeup people that you don't see. Yeah. But those are the people that are the bones of the show. They're the core of the show. And many of them would come to me and say, hey, your kid, he's different. I'm like, what? Oh, what did he do? No. He's really nice and really respectful. And I'm like, come on, get out of here. They're just trying to butter me up or whatever. I'm thinking, wait, why would they want to butter me up? I'm just the parent off to the side. And it kept happening like that. I kept getting unsolicited praise for him. And then I realized, wow, he really does affect people in a special way. And it just went on like that. Yeah. It just went on like that. He always got high praise from the people who are behind the scenes. You know, you would expect that from the people that need him to shine on camera, the directors and producers and whatnot. But the people that don't need to say anything would always mention to me how he was like very special and very kind. Yeah. And, you know, I can't take the credit for that. Like, I didn't teach him that. He just kind of came out that way. I think between him and me and his mom, you know, we were respectful to people. So he modeled that. His mom is into, you know, at the time she was working in homelessness. So, you know, we're charitable and we do all these events. And, you know, he would model that philanthropy. Yeah. He would model that kindness, but in his own way, he would amplify it beyond, far beyond us. And especially since he was, you know, someone recognizable on TV, it would just really, it will be something much more special for the person that's on the other end. Right.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to tell you that, like that, I think about that party on the pier event all the time.
That was a long time ago.
Really long time ago. I think I must have been probably like 11 years old.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, but it was one of those things that stood out to me, and I just want to know from your perspective, like obviously you saw Cameron with the cameras off, you saw him at home. Who was he at home?
He was a goofball at home. We always say that. Yeah. Cameron at home, okay. First of all, if we ever have a family event, you know, house party or whatnot, it doesn't start till Cameron comes in. Cameron lights the party up. So he was, I don't want to say he was a star because, you know, Maya is also amazing, but Cameron would light the party on fire. Yeah. And, you know, like you said, he was very welcoming to everybody, even his own family members. It didn't matter who you were. He would invite people that I might not necessarily want to come in. Oh, no, really? Yes, yeah. We have to go there. He was also very, for a person that was successful as he was not materialistic at all. Like, I'm the kind of guy that wants to keep everything and like collect everything. For example, he played in a celebrity basketball league called Hollywood Knights. And when they would win their game, he would take his jersey off and throw it into the crowd. Wow. And I'm like, no, I want to keep that.
I want to frame it.
Yeah. But he didn't care. He would just, he would rather give it to the people. Yeah. And that's the kind of guy he was. He would literally give you the shirt off of his back.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's, again, special in its own way.
Yeah. He would just do things that, like, honestly, like, he would do things I would have never thought of. Like, did you just do that? Like, so yeah, he was like that. And he was also very serious. Like, as he got older, he was trying to transition from a Disney actor to a mainstream actor, because there's a big difference. Yeah. There's Disney World. I shouldn't say Disney World. There's Disney acting, and then there's not Disney acting, which is everything else, because Disney's very formulaic. And, you know, you're not necessarily respected as much when you go into casting offices if that's all you've done.
Yeah.
Once he was done, when Gamers Guy got canceled, he was kind of in a funk because he was going out on mainstream auditions and not booking. It was the first time in his life he was struggling. So he got deep into his craft and just went full method. Like I didn't even recognize him. Like he was so focused on getting through this. And he did. He finally, he booked something else, then something else, Mrs. Fletcher. He did all these things. He did a documentary. He did things that were much more adult and definitely not Disney because he was going to do it. He was not going to be defeated. He was not going to fail. And, you know, so he could be very goofy, but he was also, as like I said, as he got older, he got really, really serious about breaking out. Like I honestly thought he was going to be like, you know, like an action, like a Tom Cruise type of guy. Like if he would have kept going, I think he would have been big in movies.
Yeah, I agree.
And he was snatched away from the earth, so he never got to that. But he was on his way because he was not gonna stop.
Dedicated.
He was so dedicated. So dedicated, give you the shirt off of his back, not materialistic. But don't get me wrong, he liked things. He got a guitar from Adam Sandler when he was on Grown Ups, the first one he did. And he was little, he was like 11 then. And I took him to lessons and he kind of fumbled around, but it just went away.
Yeah.
Fast forward about 5-6 years, he started thinking about it again. We got him a Fender Strat. And I don't know how, he just started slaying the thing. No lessons, he just picked it up and just start chords and solos and like, how did you do that? I don't understand. So the difference is he put his mind to it the second time. He wanted to do it. The first time he wasn't thinking of it, he didn't care about it. But once he decided he wanted to do it, he's restringing the thing, like not just playing it, like working on it. So he was very focused and dedicated to the things that he was interested in.
Yeah. No, I mean, speaking about Cameron, I want to know, like, early on, what was something that he taught you as a kid, but then what is something that he taught you later in life?
Wow, he taught me a lot. Well, he taught me to be more open-minded with people because he was, and Maya is as well. You know, my generation, unfortunately, we grew up a little misogynistic. We grew up a little sexist, maybe even a little racist, but not like overtly, but like subconsciously. So Cameron and Maya both opened my mind to be like, no, you don't talk about overweight people. You don't talk about trans people. You don't disparage anyone.
Right.
And that was a big lesson for me because I didn't even know I was doing these things until they pointed it out, which was great because I needed to be checked. Right. And I was behind the time. My dad was like really bad. So I picked up a little bit of that from him. But again, subconsciously, not like trying to be.
Yeah, no, that's how you were raised.
Not trying to be, not trying to be mean or anything. But some of the things I would say or think, like, you know, they were in that arena. And I'm like, wow, that's what, my mom's a civil rights icon. I've never been like, I hate anybody, because my mom would never stand for that. But still, you would say little things like that were like tinged. Tainted. And so that was a huge thing I learned from both of them.
Kudos to you, though, for being open-minded, for when they would tell you, hey, what's up with this?
Well, they taught me to be open-minded. It's like, this is not cool, Dad, and this is why. They wouldn't just say, this is not cool. They would explain why and teach me, like, wow, you know, you wouldn't want anybody talking about you. It was, you know, things were obvious. But again, it was ingrained subconsciously in my brain that I didn't even realize I was doing it. So I think that's one of the biggest things, the biggest things from both of them.
I think that's special because, again, like, you know, there are a lot of times, I think, speaking from experience, where you'll try to speak to somebody older than you and try to get them to understand something, and it's like it goes in one ear out the other.
Again, because people are entrenched, because people are stuck in their ways. And I have been actively working on myself to not do that. Because the older you get, it's easier to do that. You know, it's that get off my lawn mentality. You know, I don't want to hear it. this era was the best, or this style of music is the best, and you get stuck in your ways.
Yeah.
Like my era of music is 80s funk. And then from there, I went to mid 90s hip hop. So I love that. But that doesn't mean I'm going to close my ears to what's happening now. I still try and listen to new artists and new things because I don't want to get stuck in the 80s or the mid 90s or whatever.
Right.
Because people do. And I love finding out new things and learning about new things. And hopefully there's still some good stuff.
Yeah.
Because people say, oh, everything sucks, everything's bad, after this. And that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true. You have to open your eyes and you'll see. If you're looking for beauty, you'll find it.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
Obviously Cameron has been in a lot of different, movies, TV shows. Do you have any favorites or any like stories that you're willing to share about?
We don't have enough time for stories. We don't have enough time for stories. I think before Jesse, when he did the first Grown Ups, that was a huge, huge thing for us because it was the first time that we were away from home for so long. When he booked it, I was so happy. And then they said, okay, we're going to be shooting this in Boston for 4 months. 4 months?
That's wild.
4 months?
Wow.
We had never, ever been away from home for more than a day or two. 4 months. So that was a huge, huge adjustment and commitment because I was working at the time. So I had to make a choice.
Whoa.
We're going to do this movie because I'm not going to have a job when I come back. So this was a huge, huge leap, but it turned out to be so great. Wow. It was a great time. It was a huge learning experience working with Adam and Chris Rock and Maya Rudolph and all the people on the movie, watching them work. And so when Cameron was on set, he watched them intensely because he knew these are big time people. And so he was absorbing their techniques because they were all different.
Yeah.
Absorbing how they did things, their work ethics, their timing, all these different things that an actor needs to do. And it really, really honed his skills in. Because honestly, before that, he wasn't doing like heavy duty acting. He was doing commercials. So, it requires some skill, but it's the levels like
completely
close.
Different. Yeah.
You're talking about a major motion picture versus a pancake commercial.
With lines that you have to learn and your marks and all that stuff.
Not only that, but the thing with grown-ups, because Adam and them are very, very loose, they would have lines and then they wouldn't do the lines. They would add them.
Yeah.
And so Cameron's trying to figure out what does he do with this. He would tell me this. Adam will tell you this about how. So he learned how to react, even though they're not saying the lines he's expecting.
It's crazy.
He has to come back.
Wow.
And he got really, really good at that.
He was like a sponge.
Yes. So that was really, really a huge learning experience for both of us. Me watching from the outside and learning how to deal. The travel is a trip. Being away from home for 4 months, I had to open a new bank account. We were with Wells Fargo. There's no Wells Fargo in
Boston.
In Boston, so I had to get a B of A account.
Oh my God!
And just all these things, and learn where the local Trader Joe's is. Yeah. Learn how to drive over there because we were in this place called Danvers, and there's I think it's Highway 1. There's a divider in the middle of the highway, the whole length. So I couldn't figure out how do you turn left. I wanted to go left and I couldn't figure it out. Like I drove way out of the way, and then I realized, you have to go right, and it loops under.
Crazy.
So I had to just figure out how to navigate this place, keep Cameron happy, keep him. Now he's missing his mom, he's missing his sister. So I'm dadager. Crazy. I'm the psychiatrist. I'm the driver.
All roles.
All the roles, and so. That was a big one for us.
I mean, you speaking about Cameron, like being so observant in that way, because again, from being in commercials to a big time movie like that, it's a big difference. But I'm sure for you too, it also gave you a different respect for his craft.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Actually, before that, he did. Okay, I'm going to be brutally honest because I was glad Cameron was doing commercials and all that stuff, but I really wasn't a big respecter of what actors did. I would say, I shouldn't even say this, I'm in trouble. I would say they're just pretending to be somebody else. Yeah. That was my snarky, stupid comment. We went to Romania. That's the other place I forgot to shoot Mirrors.
Oh.
that was actually the first movie he was in. And it was Paula Patton and Kiefer Sutherland. And watching those two actors work on this horror movie smacked me in the head so hard because it was so difficult to do what they were doing, and they would have to do it over and over, and this big emotional expenditure and physical expenditure, and it was crazy hard. And I was like, oh my God, this is really, really hard.
Yeah.
That changed my whole perception of the business completely. And Cameron was smaller in that one. He worked hard, but Grown Ups was the big one for me because, like I said, the time, we were a month in Romania.
Yeah.
That was already big, but 4 months.
4 months is a huge
Yeah.
jump.
So, yeah, those two things were really, really big.
When you reflect about Cameron's life, what does it mean for you to keep that light moving forward?
We have to keep his legacy alive. We have to. Honestly, it's not really hard because he's so beloved. He's so beloved. It's going to be, oh God, it's going to be 7 years soon, which is crazy to think because it feels like 5 minutes ago sometimes, and it feels like 100 years ago sometimes. My whole perception of time is completely warped now still. But because he's so loved, his fans still contact us constantly via Instagram and social media, constantly. I can post something and the next day has 200,000 likes and 1 million views. I don't know why the people that view it don't like it, but 1 million views. And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So I think his legacy is secure, but I'm still going to just make sure and keep him going because, it's kind of all we have.
Yeah. How crazy is it for you now, like with streaming and everything, that like there are new people discovering your son and his work?
I haven't really thought about that. I mean, the thing that I think about are the fans that have grown up with him. Like, he was, I think 11 when we started Jesse, and a lot of his fans were also the same age. And now they're adults.
Yeah.
And, he, for them, is like their childhood. And that, to me, is really, really mind-boggling. I'm sure there's new fans, but it's the ones that grew up with him that affect me the most personally.
Yeah.
Because they won't let him go.
And obviously, we lost Cameron in such a sudden way. And I want to know, like, from your perspective, when did you realize that your story, this journey, could actually help more people?
I think we realized that when the foundation started the Facebook support group, because that's when people started coming out of the woodwork. Hey, I have it. My brother has it. My mother has it. Because epilepsy is a very lonely disease, disorder. It's a very lonely condition. One of the people that's on our board, his name is Miles, he said, and I'll never forget it, he said, the only time you're not thinking about having a seizure is when you're having a seizure.
Wild.
Which is devastating if you think about that. It never leaves your mind. It's a constant thing over you. And it's, it's also something that can happen to you at any time in your life. Ironically, my wife's, one of her best friends, Deborah, she's my age, she just started having seizures, just out of the blue. Wow. So it's not a child thing. It's not something you're necessarily born with. It's something that just can happen to you. And it's just so random and so frustrating and so maddening. Yeah. To answer your question, when people started reaching out to us via the group and thanking us so hard for providing a place for them to go, for resources, for a sense of community, that's when I realized, wow, this is much bigger than us.
And I applaud you guys because it's like one of these things, I mentioned it to you before, but my cousin has epilepsy. And it's something that, it's not only, she's the one having the seizures, but it's not only she's impacted, it's everybody.
The family.
Everybody's impacted.
100%.
And it's something that's constantly, I feel like, on my mind. I'm sure it's on everybody else's mind, but it's one of these things where hearing you guys speaking about it so openly, it was one of these things where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that this is finally happening. Because there's so many people that are going through this, but then there's also a large majority of people that really don't know what epilepsy is.
They don't.
And there's a staggering statistic where it's 1 in 26 people are impacted directly or indirectly.
That's
correct. That's a huge number.
And I think the number is even bigger, honestly. But the stigma that surrounds it is a big problem. And that is one thing that we really want to try and work on. Mm-hmm. You know, initially we started, we wanted to do some research, but the reality is it's so hard to raise money that we're hardly having any impact as far as research. You know, we did a big research grant for one brilliant scientist that's in Ireland, and we gave her money, and she did some beautiful things. But we realized that Cameron's he's kind of the face of epilepsy, the way Michael J. Fox is the face of Parkinson's. But since he's not that big, you know, we focus on youth. So the youth that are coming up are helping us to spread the word, because epilepsy is swept under the rug. It's hidden in the shadows. People don't want to talk about it. Yeah. And
there are so many misconceptions about it too.
Oh, so many, so many.
I guess from all that you've learned about it, you know, like for the people that don't understand what epilepsy is, are you able to tell them what it is?
Well, honestly, no, because no one knows exactly, because there's like 60 different types. For example, Cameron had 5 seizures in his whole life, and then the last one took his life. Yeah. That doesn't always happen. Some people seize every day, multiple times a day, and they don't die from it. It's incredibly complex. They're trying to figure out triggers. They're trying to figure out causations, but there's so many different kinds that it's really hard to pinpoint. And there's been advances. There's advances in wearables. There's advances in service animals. There's advances in all kinds of things.
Even medication.
Medication, for sure. Cameron was on Keppra. We're not sure if Keppra did anything for him or not.
Yeah.
So there's been advances, but I hope in my lifetime we'll figure it out. But it's still, you know, kind of far out. But again, thank goodness for the brilliant minds that are working on it. You know, we had a kind of a poor experience when he was first diagnosed with our healthcare provider. And, you know, we've talked about this ad nauseum. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but basically, if you're newly diagnosed, you need to get to a epileptologist, not a regular neurologist. You need to get to a level 4 hospital. You need to get the best thing you can get so you can get the most informed and current information and treatments available, because they're out there, but a lot of people just don't have the resources or anybody telling them what to do. So that's where I think we make a big impact, because we let people know where to go, what to do. And of course, we're still learning. You know, I am no expert by any stretch of the imagination. I am just a dad who lost his son, but it happens daily. Mm-hmm. We have met so many people that lost their kids in almost the exact same way, exact same age. Healthy, smart, college age, mostly boys, mostly young men, for some reason, snatched away by SUDEP.
So crazy.
And it just, every time, dude, I just want to cry. It's like, why? What the hell? So, you know, I said this before, I don't feel special in the sense that how I lost my son. It's just that Cameron was known. So many kids, they're not known, just as special, just as loved by their families, get snatched away in the same way. So, you know, again, I am not special. I am not the only one. So that's why we have this community, to try and support each other and to try and share resources and share information, because you need to be armed with information once you get that diagnosis and take it seriously. Mm-hmm. I think what happened to us is it was explained in a way that was so casual that was like we weren't even worried about it.
Right, yeah.
And that was a big mistake. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we don't want anybody to repeat the mistakes that we made, but we also don't want anybody to be ashamed of coming out and asking questions, getting information and searching for answers, because it can really help. It can make a big difference.
Seriously. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about epilepsy?
Oh, man. It goes back to the old,
Yeah.
people think you're
Yeah.
possessed. People
It's like-
think it's a devil, or you're being punished because you're gay, or all kinds of crazy crap.
When my cousin first had hers, I remember the family kind of like talking about it, and they were just kind of like, oh, we thought that this only affected like older people.
Right.
And it was like one of those things. And then you
Right.
start to do research and you actually realize like, no, it's not only older people, but it's every age, every
From
demographic.
birth to
doesn't-
death,
Yeah.
it can affect anybody. And also, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is people think every seizure looks the same, like you're going crazy and you're having this convulsions. People can just blank out. People can just check out or just start blinking or just it presents in many, many different ways. That's why I say it's maddening, because somebody might be having a seizure. You wouldn't even know they're having a seizure.
And I think that part is also one of the reasons why I feel like research is so kind of like minimal, is because there are so many different types of.
Which one do you focus on?
Exactly.
Which one do you focus on? For us, because of Cameron died from SUDEP, that's what we really want to focus on. But again, that's just one part of it. For as many people that have epilepsy, most people won't die of SUDEP, but a lot do.
Yeah.
A lot do, and too many do. It's also underreported, like people die of SUDEP, but on their death certificate it says they drowned or they hit their head or, but that's wrong, because we need it to say what really happened so that research dollars can come in.
So Victor, if somebody wants to get involved and obviously support the Cameron Boyce Foundation, how can they do so?
There's a couple of different ways. First and foremost, donate, please, please, please. You can donate on our website, CameronBoyceFoundation.org.
Linked below, by the way.
In lieu of that, the best way to get involved is to get into the Facebook support group, because that's where people that are like-minded, that are in similar situations, really help each other, and that's where the most impact's been made that I can see. Because, like I said, there's never been anything like that before, and there's so many young people, as you know, that are dealing with this issue, and it's a very, very lonely, frustrating thing. So when you find people that you can talk to that can relate to what you're saying, because no one can relate unless you also are experiencing that, it's a huge help.
Yeah, no, I think it's important. And again, I'm so grateful that we're able to speak about this, because, it's been something that has impacted my family. I know it's impacted you, obviously. And there are thousands of other people around the world that are really going through this. So
many.
If we could use this conversation to really amplify and raise awareness and help,
Yes.
I'm so happy to do so.
Speaking of amplified, this hat that I'm wearing, this is from, it's a charitable golf tournament that gives to the Cameron Boyce Foundation, Golf Derek. And they have held, I think it's 4 already, golf things for us and raised money for the Cameron Boyce Foundation. Wow. Sally, his mom, this is another person that we lost to epilepsy, Derek. And his mom's beautiful. She's Sally, and they do this golf tournament. I'm not a golfer, but I love the hat. And I finally played. I tried to play the last time we had the thing. And of course I was terrible, but it was super fun.
Yeah.
And obviously it helps us out. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention.
No, we'll definitely link that below as well.
Yeah, please
Any way
do.
we can support.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. But again, we've met so many people. Libby's in I don't know how many support groups. And now she speaks and she's on boards. And, so we really try to give as much as we can in our own little way. And it's small, but when a lot of people do it, then it adds
Huge
up.
difference.
And that's when we move the needle, because, one person gets to another. You know how it goes. I think that, everyone's asking for money these days for everything, but you don't always have to give money. Time is valuable. Compassion is everything. And just showing up.
Yeah. I think also taking the time to actually understand this.
Oh, yeah.
I think, again, a conversation like this will give them not only they'll get to understand it, but then if they're feeling so inclined, they'll do their own research and actually realize
they will. And who knows where the next research brilliant mind's going to come from, That person might not even be born yet, and maybe they'll figure this out.
Fingers crossed.
So we need to keep people involved. And honestly, before Cameron was diagnosed, I didn't know anything about epilepsy. It was something way out of my, and now I feel like, wow, it affects so many people. Why didn't I know?
Yeah.
why didn't I know anything about it? You know, everyone should know something about it. I certainly knew about cancer. I certainly knew about Parkinson's. I knew about other things. So our thing is to, like you said, amplify the message and put a spotlight on it. And that's at this point, that's our biggest contribution, because Cameron, he's the face of it.
Honestly, if you're watching this and you feel so inclined, I'm telling you, your support would mean so much to the community that's dealing with this. But you know, Victor, another thing I kind of wanted to talk to you about, kind of pivot real quick.
Okay.
Cycling.
Oh my God.
I think cycling is something that's so amazing. Our DP is a cyclist as well.
Really?
So like, that's one of the things that I really wanted to make sure to ask you about, you know, like, I know cycling is one of those things that's very freeing. It's very, you know, liberating, but also like from your perspective, what does cycling give you that normal everyday life sometimes doesn't?
There's something magical about it when I get on my bike. I thought about it yesterday. I pulled out from my house, and within 4 pedal strokes, my mood just elevated. So I think there's a dopamine hit. There's something that just, if I don't ride, I won't say I'm in a bad mood, but I'm in a much better mood when I ride my bike.
Yeah.
There's so many things about it that are just, it's hard to describe unless you experience it. But also for me, I'm into the gear. I have, if you know me, if you follow me, you know I have a lot of bikes. And so different eras, different styles, different types. People say, why do you have so many bikes? I'm like, because the correct number of bikes to have is N plus 1.
Exactly.
Or N is the amount you currently have.
Yeah.
So that's the truth. So yeah, for me, it's all encompassing. You know, I've been you know what the Sea Otter Classic is?
Yeah.
So I've been a Sea Otter ambassador for the past couple of years. My friend Zach and I, we do gravel riding videos, Gravel by California. We do group rides. I'm involved with different clubs and youth things. And it's just, there's so many things you can do with it. And there's something for everybody. Like, you know, it doesn't matter what bike you have as long as you ride it.
Exactly.
As long as you ride it. You know, I have some snobby bikes, but I also have just like some little kick around bikes. And it doesn't matter which one I'm on, whichever bike I'm on at the time is my favorite one.
Yeah.
And because I'm riding. It's something that I've had since I was 12. You know, I got my first road bike in high school, and I never thought I'd still be riding at this age now, but I ride much more now than I ever did. My whole life combined, probably.
Yeah.
You know, last year I did a little over 10,000 miles, 750,000 feet of elevation gain. In 2020, I hit 1 million feet of elevation gain.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so I'm avid.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, some people do more.
Yeah.
You know, I'm proud of myself, but I'm never so amazed, because no matter what you do, somebody always does a little more, you know.
Yeah. Are you constantly pushing yourself to kind of like beat your personal record, whatever that is? Or?
I do.
Yeah, right?
I do, because cycling is one of the sports like I was never great in basketball, it's okay. But as you get older, you get worse and worse and worse. Football, I can't play football. I get broken in half. Sport is hard to keep going as you get older. You know, that's why you don't see a 70-year-old boxer. You know, it's just not the thing. But with cycling, and I think swimming as well, you can actually keep improving as you get older.
Yeah.
I have personal records. I'm on Strava. I don't know if you know what Strava is. It says like a
tracker app. Like you could.
It tracks you and it saves all your rides. And that's how I know how many miles in elevation I have. And it shows you the maps. And it's brilliant. So I've been on Strava since 2011. I'm still breaking records that I did way back then. Whoa. Which is encouraging because, well, first of all, I've probably improved.
Yeah.
But the fact that I'm still improving years later as I'm getting older is super encouraging. And it's like, wow, I can still be good at something.
Yeah. I mean, when you first started, you said you got your first bike at 12.
Even earlier, but I was like into bicycles at 12. So BMX.
Did you ever think that like all these years later, you'd still be on a bike?
No. And I definitely didn't think that, because the whole thing about when my era at 12 was you get a bike until you get your car. And once you get a car, the bikes go away.
Yeah.
And that happens to most people. But I never fully let the bike go. I always had a bike. Even when I had my cars, I never let the bike go. And then when mountain biking became a thing, I started mountain biking, which was great, but it was a whole different thing because I had never ridden off-road
Yeah,
before.
no, I did it once and I'm like, I'm never doing that again.
But when mountain biking for me was fresh, it was like a whole nother avenue. And that's happened to me again with gravel riding.
Yeah.
So gravel is like a weird mix of mountain biking and road biking, but it's different from both. And so there's new things that keep happening that keep it fresh for me.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough to experience these things, changes in technology. Now, bikes have electronic shifting.
How crazy is that?
And tubeless tires.
Yeah.
And they're made of carbon fiber. None of that existed when I was riding. It's like these things are like fantasy bikes.
Yeah.
But I still keep my old school bikes to keep me grounded to where I came from.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
One of my favorite bikes is my 1974 Schwinn with completely mechanical.
That's crazy.
No electronics. The brakes barely work. But when I ride it, it's magical. I love it. I love it as much as my super carbon,
that is awesome.
Fully electronic, crazy space bike.
Yeah.
They're completely different, but they give me the same feeling. So, for me, it's like, it's nostalgia, but it's also the future because I can keep improving. At least so far I have. I'm sure there's some point that will stop.
Honestly, I feel like if you keep on pushing yourself,
Well, I think I'll ride until the casket drops. That's for sure. But I don't know if I'll go to keep breaking my own records, but I'm never going to stop riding.
What's the next record?
Well, racing. So I've been racing for a while. I got on podiums, age group podiums. So I want to continue doing that because that's scary. And it makes you say, okay, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
It always comes out like
That
this.
is so
Why was I
cool.
nervous? But it's nerve-wracking being on the starting line.
It's good to be nervous though.
Yeah.
'Cause that means you care.
Yes.
I was really nervous about this interview.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I think out of all of the ones that I've done, this one I felt more nerves because it was like, there's so much that I feel like I wanted to talk to you about. And like, obviously honoring your son and speaking about the foundation. But then also it hits home,
Oh, yeah.
So it's like one of those things where I put
Okay.
a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that like we're educating people throughout this conversation. And I really feel like
I respect that. I think that just by opening the door, it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
It was going to be fine. I think that perfection is the enemy of good. Nothing's perfect, but you want to be good. You want to put the best effort in. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. So I think just by having this conversation, it was going to be good.
Yeah.
No worries.
No, and honestly, you've been so gracious with your time. And just to wrap it up, when people watch this years from now, what do you hope they understand about Cameron, about epilepsy, and about choosing purpose even in unimaginable loss?
Well, what I hope they think about Cameron is that he was as good as people said. He was, and I don't mean good like talent, I mean good as a person. I mean good from his heart. Just the most giving, kind person that I have ever met. What I hope they take away from the epilepsy thing is that at whatever year it is, I hope there was a cure. I hope we're done. Because honestly, this is not joyful to do. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And it's a constant reminder that my son is gone, which makes it doubly hard. It's not like, I'm on the outside and working with this. I've experienced a tremendous loss, along with, like I said, a lot of other people. Again, I'm not trying to make myself special in that sense. I want to really stress that because every day people lose loved ones to this, and it's just as horrific for them as for our family. But I hope in the future that there is a cure, or at least very, very close, to manage this, to prevent these, your loved one just gets snatched away.
Yeah. Horrible.
We were with Cameron the night before, like we went to dinner. It was beautiful. There was nothing wrong. Drove him home. He went to his house, and he never came out of his house.
Yeah.
It was like, what? It was just the most surreal thing.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole world just went. Everything just went white. Like,
Yeah.
it just was like I kept literally trying to wake up Like it was a
bad
nightmare.
dream, yeah.
Like I was literally trying. Like I thought, this is not real. There's no way this is real. Yeah. It took a long time to come to grips to the reality of it. And people have to deal with this all the time. So my hope for the future is that that's not going to be a thing. Yeah, no. What was the last thing you asked? It was 3 things.
Oh, and then the last one, choosing purpose even in unimaginable loss.
It's good to choose purpose because that's the definition. It gives you, because otherwise you there's nothing, you're just in a void.
Yeah.
There's a void and it's the worst thing. You don't want to just be in darkness. Mm-hmm. You know, our first thing when we started the foundation was really like, we can't let all his things that he was working on just go away. It wasn't even about epilepsy. He was doing the Thirst Project water, and he was doing Home Walk. He was doing all these philanthropic things that we didn't just want just to fumble away because he passed. But then we quickly pivoted to epilepsy because that's what took his life. But purpose gives you some sense of hope that everything is not all bad, that you can take a tragedy and help somebody else prevent a tragedy.
And that's beautiful in itself.
Yeah, that's our thing, because again, what we went through, we don't want anybody to go through.
Yeah. No, and again, your time means so much to me, and I think even this conversation means a lot to me, and I'm just grateful for you and your time, and I'm grateful that you even were willing to open up in this way. Where can people find you? Again, the foundation, how can they support, just to close it off?
Well, again, the foundation is CameronBoyceFoundation.org. My Instagram is the Victor Boyce. Mostly what I post is about Cameron, not everything. I post about my wife and Maya, a little bit about me.
Cycling?
No, I have cycling. My cycling Instagram is a different one. It's called Bike Obsession. Yep. And I try and keep those separate because, you know, my main one, the Victor Boyce, gets heavy sometimes. And Bike Obsession is just fun.
Yeah.
It's, you know, all my fun stuff, all my adventures and bikes and trips I've done and stuff like that. So I separate those two. It's funny because that one has like 5,000 followers, which sounds like a lot, but I have 1 million on the other one.
Yeah.
I think about 4 people would actually follow me if it weren't for Cameron. I mean, honestly, no one follows me for me. They follow me for Cameron. And I understand that, and I appreciate that. That's fine. Keep following me and keep Cameron's legacy alive, because that's really what it's about. It's a legacy account.
No, and I think lastly, you know, there are a lot of people that supported Cameron watching this. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you want to say to them today?
Yes, I love you guys. I love you so much because you guys show Cameron love, and you show our family love. To this day, you support us. Always beautiful messages, always heartfelt, always personal. And I really appreciate it. My wife appreciates you. My daughter appreciates you. And we love you guys. Thank you so much.
Victor, thank you so much for this. It means the world.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Appreciate it.
Like, you put your foot on the brake.
Take a video of this.
I am. Saves you money.
Go, babe, go.
Take your foot off the brake, coast along.
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm gonna have to ask you to stop filming. This man is about to break his hip, and it's gonna be some serious visual content.
Very often cargo.
You should probably.
Innovation. It's loaded groceries.